So there is a lot of talk about manifestation and how to manifest what we want. So does manifestation work? And if yes, how can we manifest what we want?
Whether we are aware of it or not, since the beginning of times, we have always been manifesting. Everything that you see around, it it almost appears as it was the will of human than the will of God. You see the civilizations, the palaces, the buildings that we see today, the infrastructure that exists in the society, the electricity, the inventions. Which one is not the manifestation? It has always been, it got manifested. So, what do you call a manifestation? Something which was not there apparently, and then something that is there now. Yesterday it wasn't there, and today we have it. Now that becomes a manifestation. So, that way, when you look at, that's what I was saying, everything that you see around, it's so much so that one has to travel some distance from the city, from where we live, to experience the will of divine or will of God. Otherwise, everything what we see in the society, even right now where we are sitting, from the media through which we are communicating, happens to be the manifestation, which of course, like your question was whether it works. So
Correct.
the very proof that we see everything around,
Hmm.
it shows that it must be working then.
Right. So even though I'm able to see that people are creating or manifesting, whether they're doing it consciously or unconsciously, they're still manifesting something around them, their own realities.
Yeah, yeah.
But although I'm able to see that, why isn't it so obvious for everybody? As in, especially if you look at the West today, there is a lot of obsession about manifesting what you want and the overall manifestation.
Yeah.
So, what do you have to say about that?
While it is very apparent, like I said, that everything that we see around, but it has always been a sort of a mystery for the common man, for most of the people who the majority of the population in the world, whether today or in the ancient times, they have always been at the receiving end. So right now, you see this chair design is a manifestation, but we are at the receiving end.
Correct.
We are using the mic, we are using the camera, we are using everything that you see, which I mentioned. Neither have you created them, nor have I, which implies that the the ability or the conscious acceptance of what I can manifest has somehow got locked up, maybe within a very few people, and those few people are the ones who kind of, in a way, give direction to the whole society to move in, not because maybe some of them want that itself, but many of them, just in the process of their creation, it so happens that majority of the people who are at the receiving end, they start accepting that creation as if it's the law. So unless the common human being can presume this responsibility, that if he could do it, then I can do it. Just this very process, just this very thought can open up a lot of possibilities within you, even before you go into how exactly you do it, or like, because there's this rush that people are showing, like you said, that the obsession, you can say,
Mhm.
about manifestation, as if their own life in a little way, what they have created is also somebody else's manifestation. Now
Correct.
that was not anybody else's responsibility apart from ourselves. Now
Correct.
if my life is in a particular way until now,
Mhm.
unless I come to a point, because in the beginning ages we go on blaming something or the other,
Correct.
and even if we go for any help concerning mental health or psychology, they
Mhm.
also do a very good part in transferring the whole responsibility to family and parents,
Correct.
so that it's always, and we are kind of happy with that in the beginning, to know that okay, like at least the mess up that I am in is not because of me, it's because
Correct.
of
Correct.
somebody else,
Yeah.
which is okay for a certain age.
Hmm.
So I think if it were to me, then I would stop psycho counseling or psychotherapy anything beyond teenage,
Hmm.
because at some point there has to be a time where you say that I put an end and I own the responsibility,
Okay.
and that's when you can enter the zone of conscious creation
Hmm.
or manifestation.
Yeah. Okay.
So until one can come to that phase,
Mm-hmm.
you're always blaming the government, you're blaming the society, you're blaming
Yeah.
somebody else for whatever you're encountering. So how can you see, either you have to be this side or that,
Hmm.
right? So when you are in the
Correct.
process of conscious creation, then constantly complaining what my parents did or what the prime ministers did will not really help. It's about
Correct.
owning up that okay, like from this moment, what I'm going to create is my responsibility.
Okay, just one clarification. So, I mean, I get the fact that we ourselves are responsible for whatever we create, and of course, we cannot. There is no end to blaming the surroundings,
Blame
whether it is
game,
the
yeah.
yeah. So whether it's the government or the family or the society, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But don't you think that they're partially responsible for what you create? As in the government or the surroundings in which you live, they kind of influence you when it comes to what you want to seek, right? So let's say somebody who comes from a rural background would want one kind of a reality,
Right.
and somebody who comes from a completely different, let's say, a society which is very affluent, he would want to create a different kind of a reality. But even though I, as an individual, am responsible for what I want to create, does the surrounding also play an important
No,
part?
you are absolutely right in saying that there is a difference in what one person would want to manifest from the other, which again depends on his environment from which he came from.
Hmm.
But when you talk about conscious creation, it's again one thing. Like if there is somebody who's creating and somebody who's at the receiving end,
Mhm.
so it's a choice of both. Again,
Okay.
that the choice could be with awareness or unconscious, but
Mhm.
the very fact of being at the receiving end also implies a certain amount of openness from the person, because you might have seen in many cases people who are born in a place who do not belong to who do not feel the belongingness to that, they jump out of it very quickly.
Um,
Maybe a certain part of the choices that he would have made or she would have made would allow that person to take birth in a certain geography,
mhm.
but then it wouldn't take much time for them to
Jump out of it.
jump out of it.
Mhm.
So what you're saying is true, that the the creations that we do, the manifestation that we do, is going to impact what the other person should want or not.
Huh.
Now, today, if you ask somebody, what do you want to manifest? The things that he would say is a factor of other person's manifestation. Now, because there is a certain car company making a kind of car,
Hmm.
he would want to manifest that car. Now, what if that company itself didn't exist?
Correct.
So our and which is why even before one comes to the manifestation or one talks about conscious creation, one has to have traveled the journey of self awareness, to even to know what to create.
Correct. Yeah. Fair enough.
Otherwise, he would be so locked up in that the creations of others that even what he want to manifest will be a byproduct of that.
Correct.
Already there is a car, now I want to manifest a better car. Now, for example, now that is, I do not know if it's really a conscious creation. It could be, because nothing can be judged by the very action of it.
Correct.
But one has to ensure before even trying to manifest to become self aware.
Correct.
So then you know, okay, I want this, but do I really want it?
Huh.
I want recognition and fame. I want to manifest fame. Now, if you actually maybe spend good amount time becoming self-aware, perhaps that whole urge to go after the fame only might die off.
Correct. Possible. Yeah.
So yes, I agree with you that what we create is also dependent on others' creation.
Correct.
Which is why it becomes important. It further answers why the journey of self-awareness is more important. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. And also another thing. So, of course, I totally understand that it is our creation or our manifestation at the end of the day, and also what we want to manifest depends on who we are within ourselves and how self-aware we are.
Yeah.
So somebody who's not so self-aware would want a certain kind of a reality, and somebody who's more self-aware would want a different kind of a reality.
Yes, but this should not be confused that a person who is leading a socially successful life.
Huh.
When I mean socially successful, that means a success as defined by the society. So just because if you see somebody in that position having great amount of wealth
Huh.
and the fame and all that, not necessarily it is a conscious creation.
Correct.
So this needn't be confused with.
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah.
say self-awareness, conscious creation, so that whole journey of richness could be unconscious.
Correct. Yeah.
And then on the other hand, there can be one Baba sitting somewhere
Correct.
who is completely the epitome of self-awareness,
Correct.
but
Yeah.
begging.
Yeah.
So just by the outward look of
Yes.
a person, one cannot decide
Correct.
whether he is self-aware or not.
Correct.
So some people are able to create more easily than others. That doesn't imply the self-awareness. That implies the momentum of what they have already been creating.
Creating. Yeah.
So most of the people are excellent. They have been in the momentum of negativity. That's why sadness we can create very easily.
Very easy.
It takes no time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that it's important to just remember that just because you have a comfortable luxury life, if that is taken away from him, if he can go back there, I have heard some people saying, if you take off everything I have, only a few millionaires have heard making such statement. It will take me another 6 months to 1 year to be back to where I am. Now that is conscious creation. And I've seen many people who, when things by nature or by some, again, their own manifestation, somehow they lose what they have. And then the only choice they have is suicide or, something in a very negative direction.
Okay.
So basically one needs to understand that creation and self-awareness are related.
Correct.
And it will only give you a sense of direction and a rightful choice to make.
Okay.
But the choice is yours.
Correct.
You're completely self-aware and you have all the ability to manifest, but still you say like, I'll just be here and I don't want to
Correct.
create. That is your choice.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. And so, is everybody equally capable of creating or manifesting what they want? Is it fair to say that somebody who's more centered and somebody who's more self-aware is in a better position to create a better reality as such? Consciously. Unconsciously, of course, people do create wealth and all of that without even being conscious. But somebody who's more self-aware, is it fair to say that he or she will be able to create a better reality?
You can say that the possibility is higher, the potentialness is higher, but there are certain factors like energy accumulation and which is like a resultant of your journey towards self-awareness,
Hmm.
and what your other interests are, which are draining that energy, which could affect the immediacy of how quickly something is going to manifest.
Okay.
Because when you manifest something, the reality of that is centered around you. So now, because of that, and also it is influencing people around. So having said that, to answer your question, it is definitely more possible for the person who is self-centered and self-aware to be there, because he will only see. Self-awareness is what? Basically understanding what is happening inside you, who you are. Like you said, it's what we create is largely around who we are. And unless that is understood in a very experiential way, everything that we keep doing will be like an experiment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, so when it comes to the journey of self awareness, of course, first we spoke about manifestation, but ultimately it all comes down to how self aware one is. So
Yes.
that's what it depends on.
Yes,
So,
because where you want to go primarily starts with where you are.
correct.
And even if when you are, I keep using this example, even when we use the GPS,
Huh.
if you do not allow the GPS to know your current location, it cannot guide you.
Correct.
So if you are inviting the universal forces to guide you, and if you want to go somewhere without being self-aware, which means without knowing where you are, who
Correct.
you are,
Correct.
the journey cannot begin.